Hey, by the way, you know what? It's you have an interesting arc because hearing you even say like, "Yo, the Adam 22 thing," you're like, I'm not into that. I'm not saying I'm that surprised, but even like your friends or were friends were with like Destiny. And like I remember the first time I was even listening to Destiny like through you, it was just like I was like, wait, this guy's gay? And I was like, wait, like Sneako is kind of like in Sneako's world, it kind of leads to this open-ended sexual relationship where men could be super fluid, and it's like that's just what I even think about like Destiny and this girl. It's like it got to be an insatiable appetite for sex where like he's possibly open to being with men, he's down to let her be with other men.
He does. He told us like that he like sucks off dudes on Grindr.
Yeah,
it's just like, but it always stems from atheism.
All right, hold on, but like you guys you could explain what you guys' relationship is now, but like when you guys were very cool, how did you rationalize that? Because to me, I thought that yeah, he's a very brilliant guy in what he's saying, but like his lifestyle and I don't even want to say vices, but his vices in trying to deal with his own just how he feels about the world is that.
It's because he sounds smart. You sound really well versed in the ideas of atheism. His whole worldview is stemmed from the fact that God isn't real. And when you don't feel any shame for what you do, then all the floodgates open. And the last conversation with him, I asked him, you don't believe in God, and you believe that all sex acts are okay because like there's no harm in it. I don't know how much you believe in God, but there's some things that most people will understand. Even atheists, unless you're an extreme atheist and you're really well versed in explaining it, there's some things we understand are just wrong without any real justification, like bestiality. If you have your dog lick peanut butter off of your nuts, there's nothing it's not harming anyone. The dog gets protein, you get your nuts licked, right? But most people will be like, yeah, that's wrong. You don't know why, but it's wrong because there's some things in the Quran that will say like, obviously, like this is not what you're just not supposed to do that. But when you have to defend atheism to that extent, then you're not able to say that that's wrong. You have to justify that. All sex acts, if there's no harm. And even though there's another like, dude like that, I don't remember, his name starts with like Vush or something. He was saying that child pornography, if it's not, sorry for saying that, if you might have to bleep that, but CP is never morally wrong if it's not bought or sold. If you're just watching it, then you're not harming anyone technically because nobody's gaining any monetary value from it. So when you allow all types of degeneracy, that's what they've said that. Like, and they will defend it. You can even ask them. They have defended this because nobody's gaining monetary value. So there's nothing wrong with
Destiny
CP.
Does not like even.
He will, if you press him about that, he will have to defend that because within the belief system of atheism, I guarantee you, because
bestiality.
Yeah, that was our last conversation. He said it's okay. It's not harming anyone.
Okay, what happened? So you guys were, and by the way, you put me onto him, and you made me want to, and I still want to sit down with him and like really like kind of talk about a lot of different things.
Press him out to atheism.
Why did you guys fall out?
Because
I ain't gonna lie, you put me now in like, and I've heard him. He spoke very endearing about me, and I know I like him. In how he tries to reason stuff, but I got to him through you, and I'm like, if you guys aren't cool anymore,
no, it's fine.
I'm interested in why you guys aren't cool.
Because he's getting on a moral high ground about my character, saying like, because I think the most ideal relationship is within, you were making fun of it, but I think the most ideal relationship is within the mosque, is within the Islamic way, having a father marry off his daughter. And he's like, you would never be able to like find, like no dad's ever going to marry his daughter off to you. I'm like, why are you going to get on any type of moral high ground about me and what I'm trying to do? Based on everything you do. That's what kind of pisses me off, is that he has the sense of superiority when you're in no position to be superior. Huh?
Do you think he never took you serious?
No, I think to some extent he did.
Well, I asked that because like I've heard you guys have great conversation, and this is to me, like you have a very invaluable trait of being malleable. I've told you that before, but you've introduced me to these characters where they're not necessarily all the way with you in what you think, but they'll push the conversation and you're always down to be a part of the conversation. That was Destiny too. Like, Destiny's never been the yes Sneako guy. And I thought you guys have like this mutual respect.
I don't like the sense of superiority, especially because this is how I had the falling out. It's like the guy left his kids to go play StarCraft in Miami. Like he left his son to go play video games and do live streams and fuck whores. So you're going to be on a moral high ground about me saying like, no, dad, whatever. But like you left, and I don't like, not to gossip about men, but it's more like a moral conversation. If you look at your life and what you've done and deciding to go play video games instead of raise your son, then you're not in any position to.
Kids?
Yeah, exactly. Like you have a kid and you're going to be like, no doubt, whatever. Like you have some sense of superiority and you're gaming and fucking whores in Miami and your wife is running around and you're sucking dick. Like he's on Grindr sucking dick and your son's like in the middle of.
It's not like, he said he sucked like one dick ever.
Nope.
Oh my, we were your friend.
Okay, well look, I mean.
Yeah, listen.
Okay, not to gossip about men.
This is a nasty, let me tell you this. Yo, I believe in friendship and respect, and I thought this shit was like, I thought y'all was trolling. Like, you guys seem, and I've been around you a lot. I felt like y'all were way closer than even me and you, and I couldn't even bring myself to even like, even though there's no skeleton like really in your closet like that. What went wrong?
Well, one thing I realized when I thought that, and this is a lesson, I think, when you think somebody's your friend, you will defend them no matter what.
Yeah.
Like you will defend your friends. Like I defended the Tates because Tristan Tate's like, you're my friend now. Like it's not just like a computer relationship. Like I consider him a friend. So I'm going to defend him when he has everybody against him, when everybody's attacking him, when they have a case against him that is kind of illegitimate and there's a lot of lies within it. I'm going to go defend you. And then someone like him will be like, I would never defend you if that. I'm like, well, then you're not really my friend. If you will not defend me against something like that, knowing that there's all these attacks out there and they're trying to bring down men, then we can never, then it's just going to be an internet relationship. And why I think that you asked that question, like, did he ever take you serious? I think it stems from that as I've grown up on the internet, I've always looked for different masculine role models to listen to. There's been like all the types of online podcasters, comedians. I've looked at them for some sort of inspiration and to get some life advice and to learn from. But within all my conversations with Destiny, I never learned anything. I never took anything like, this is something I want to emulate. This is something that I can use in my life. This is something that I've learned. I could say that from a year of conversations, it's like nothing changed from talk. It's actually the opposite. Talking to him pushed me further to God. Like seeing what they defend and their belief system and how they live. I'm like, okay, God must be real because these people are so confused that must give more validity to these books that were written 1,400 years ago. So, the reason that I like went to the swinger party, which people always talk about, is because Patrice O'Neal, I looked up as a masculine role model, and that was his ideal form of a relationship. At the end of the day, the guy was, he never really wanted to self-improve, and so that's why he went to swinger parties. But I look at guys, I've taken advice from guys like Tate, from Jesse Lee Peterson, from the Fresh and Fit guys, from
Nick Fuentes.
I guess politically, but yeah, there's a lot of things that I have learned about him, and also like how he views sex as a giant waste of time, which it inherently is. There's nothing you are accomplishing, and guys like him, you see him as the example of being the change that you want to see in the world. If you think the world needs a lot of fixing, then you need to be that change, and not a lot of people live exactly by that code. Other than somebody like him. So I've taken a lot of advice and I've learned from a lot of people.
Cool with Destiny. I haven't
learned anything from him.
I have a sneaky suspicion that you realize something that I started noticing the more I seen y'all do content together. I think you had a lot of admiration for him, a lot of respect. No. Whoa.
First willingness to engage in debate and conversation. Yeah.
Well. In terms of friendship. And I think you seen that it was definitely not reciprocated. Like, I remember just watching many different clips where it, like, obviously you had your own opinion and it felt like it was just a pile on you. And I think you went through a moment of saying, yo, y'all are trying to make it seem like I'm like the degenerate, but like y'all don't want to hold the mirror up to yourself. And I guess that's where you're talking about like his lifestyle. And I thought there was a little bit of hurt in terms of just on a friendship level where you would be like, hey, listen, if we're cool and I accept you for a lot of the degenerate things I believe that you're doing, you wouldn't be trying to morally stand on a high ground when it comes to me if you thought I had shortcomings, even if maybe I don't think those are shortcomings. And
I see what you're saying.
It felt like they were just trying to throw you, or he was trying to position you as this is Sneako, the hypocrite or the bad guy. And it was one of those things you're like, no, fuck no. Because if we're going to tell the truth, let's tell the whole truth, right? Like, you know what I mean? I'm that guy too. Hey, if we're going to tell the truth, let's tell the whole truth. I always tell people, I'll expose me to expose you. Don't come over here and just be like, oh, Ak is the bad guy. He does this and does that. But you don't really tell the truth about even yourself. And now I think you got there, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. I think you got there and you were just like, this is not even a balanced and even like relationship worth keeping. And I don't know what the straw that broke the camel's back, but you know, it clearly you guys separating what was used as basically saying it's not it.
I think that there could probably in the future. I mean, this has happened a couple times in the 1 year that I've made content with them. So in my opinion, I don't see it as like a falling out forever. Guys like him are kind of addicted to the drama of relationships and the ups and downs.
But things go too far. Like, people thought me and Fresh fell out, right?
Right. People think me and Fresh fall out too.
But that's like so different though, right? It's like, hey, we have a difference of opinion, but like that's still my guy. And I feel like you and Destiny, it's very basically like you're telling the world like, yo, he has a kid that he's neglected.
But he's not really like, it's not a secret. It's just the truth. If you're gonna get on your moral high ground, like what is your life?
It's a secret because he's not saying it.
Oh yeah, he says it.
He doesn't contextualize it as that.
That's true, but it's pretty open. It's out there. So I just don't like when people like that get on.
If me and him were having a conversation and he said, hey, listen, and say we're in Miami and he's like, yo, yeah, I left my kid to come out here because I want to do some shit that is fulfilling my insatiable appetite for sex while my wife is doing some other shit. I'd be like, yo, dude, your priorities are fucked up.
So you're saying it's the way I contextualize it?
Well, I don't think he would I don't think he would say that, period. I've never heard him talk about a kid, ever. Well, obviously I don't know too much about his content. I know more about you. So I see you and him. You telling me he has a kid, I'm like,
he had no clue.
No fucking clue.
You would think that a guy like that doesn't have kids because of how much he criticizes other men for their fatherhood abilities and their maturity and their masculinity, stuff like that. This guy's insecure. Like guys like that will always kind of like nip and nap, and you're like, oh shit, you have a kid?
Hey, by the way, which I think even realizing the Tates have kids, and even as you talk about like Destiny, is like that truth being out there furthers the conversation to be like, hey, listen, you guys got to up the conversational aspect in at least allowing people to realize what your real reality is. Because all of this stuff sounds good, but like, hey, I allow my wife to fuck like anyone she wants. I do whatever. Even with Adam, I say, what about the fucking kids? Because everybody is in this woke world where nobody cares about nothing. But how do you have children in this? What does your kid think about you publicly? What does your kid think about the fact that mommy has an OnlyFans and you're basically touting that?
I asked Adam about that on the podcast. I was like, how are you going to explain this to your child? He's like, oh, mommy does photo shoots. Mommy's doing that. Mommy's coming back for me. And then she grows up and then you have to explain it. I mean, we've seen time and time again, like Kim has had problems explaining that to the children.